Well, it's that time again. I'm going to dig deep, deep into the well of my utter disdain for a particular franchise that is so overhyped, so loved, that I'm bound to either watch my sub count skyrocket towards the stars or crash harder than Lucasfilm's last box office bomb. If you're not picking up what I'm laying down, the Star Wars ATTE is going to get the Tanker's View treatment. Welcome back to another episode of A Tanker's View with me, your average tanker, Tony. As most of you are probably aware of my utter disdain for pretty much everything Star Wars. And if you're not, well, check out this video here to get a good view of what my thoughts of Star Wars are. After you watch this video, obviously, because Daddy needs that sweet, sweet watch time. Cringe. Oh, God. Kidding. Yeah, that was just a tad cringe, but you know what? It's all good. Let's carry on. So this week, I'm going to take a big old corusant steamer on the Republic and later the Empire's main excuse for a tank. But first, these are links to my socials, and my Patreon and my Ko-fi, where you get access to the Discord, and I'm now a monthly watch party. This month is going to be Hell's Reach, because Grimaldus, obviously. So, you also get some input on some upcoming videos. Also, if you wouldn't mind, please like, share, sub, and subscribe. It really does help me in the algorithm. And with all that, thank you always for watching. You're all legends. Star Wars. Where do I even begin with this? Well, I'm no lore master, unless we're talking Bolos or Dune. But I'm going to stick to the information I've basically just seen in the movies because I've got no patience to read 500 books. I'm firmly ensconced in the Horus Heresy at the moment, and that is many, many books to go. Now, I do enjoy the original trilogy.
All right, look. There's only one return, okay? And it ain't of the king, it's of the Jedi.
Oh, Star Wars geek.
And some parts of the prequels, mostly the parts where the Jedi are getting their shit pushed in, but those are just the best parts. But my utter disdain for Star Wars has to constantly do with its immersion-breaking bullshit. Like, how in the name of the Emperor's golden briefs did an army that employs walkers as its primary armored component ever manage to beat anyone in a battle is beyond my comprehension. There are so many things wrong with that just alone that seeing that yellow text start to scroll on the screen makes me want to gouge out my own eyes with an olive fork. Or the Republic and the Empire's over-reliance on gaudy super weapons that can be absolutely bodied by what can only be described as an uneducated farm boy who was groomed into an extremist religious cult by a dude he met a few days earlier.
A few moments later.
Okay, I got a little bit carried away there. This video isn't supposed to be an entire indictment of the criminal levels of idiocy in the Star Wars universe. That one's coming later. So, getting back to, well, this thing. As usual, I'm just so goddamn flabbergasted that I don't know where to begin. So I'm just going to work from, well, the easy stuff to the hard stuff, because why not get the easy stuff out of the way, right?
Yes, definitely!
So I guess first we're going to do a little bit of specs and intended use first. Context is important, or at least I hope it is. Maybe it might still be on the internet, I don't know. But so first up, this thing has no weight classification that I could figure out that makes any sense. It's supposed to be able to carry 40 tons, but its transport aircraft is only rated to carry 15 tons, or roughly 120,000 macros quarter-pounded cheeseburgers. That's right, I'll measure in cheeseburgers before I use the goddamn metric system on purpose.
America, 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 fuck yeah!
And this six-legged mutant bendy bus is roughly the size of a Bane blade. Now, unless this thing is comprised of tin foil, 15 tons just looks a little bit light. So at 72 feet long, 31 feet tall from ground to turret top, and 19 feet wide, It's as big as 3 double-wide trailers stacked on top of one another, and about as well thought out, too. Allegedly, this thing will do 37 miles per hour, and this is where I start to scream bullshit at the top of my lungs. Because I don't know how many of you all out there in my viewer land ride horses, but I have extensively for a lot of years. Not well, but I have ridden them. Now, your average horse is going to gallop at about 20 miles per hour, give or take on the average. Now, try to do anything at all while directing a 1,000-pound animal at 20 miles per hour. It's pretty goddamn difficult. Like, even before you even scream Chengiz Khan, mounted archers, they were just basically using archery as a suppression tactic and a harassing tactic. They weren't using it like a sniper rifle or like a tank. What I'm saying in the most roundabout way and polite way possible is that with this leg configuration, it's an up-armored bendy bus at best whose mother... There's no way in the universe that this thing goes twice as fast as a horse and doesn't turn the interior into a steel-lined crib full beyond me. I'm gonna have to censor that one out. That one was spicy.
No shit.
Speaking of screaming bullshit at the top of your lungs, magnetic and tractor feet to walk up walls. Is every surface in Star Wars made with iron? Doesn't appear to be, because that's the only way this thing makes sense. And now to boot, how is it not tearing itself in half every time it has to transition from the horizontal to the vertical position? I know it bends a little bit, but it clearly doesn't have enough of a gap to bend this thing 90 degrees or even 45 degrees. The way I see it, anytime you try to ascend like that, you're inviting the enemy to either A, penetrate you from the top, or B, wait until you're cresting and penetrate you from the bottom.
So we're just done with phrasing, right? That's not a thing anymore?
Either way, you're about to understand what we mean by the big green weenie and military grade. Also, you better hope that any surface you're scaling vertically is better than military grade, or those gravity tractors in your feet are going to shear off and shatter whatever you're trying to hold on to. Just saying. Speaking of getting penetrated, let's look at those nice big flat surfaces top and bottom to catch a blast, shall we? Speaking of, do landmines exist in Star Wars? Someone tell me in the comments. I really couldn't find out for myself, but it seems like it would be a no-brainer to make anti-walker mines, put them all over the ground where you know they're going to come from, and just wait for them to run one over. Christ, you knock a leg off one of these things, it's going to fall over or explode. Also, what about, undermining or anti-tank trenches? Because despite this thing's claim, you look at the legs, there's no way this thing's going to be able to cross anything bigger than its own leg span, which by the looks of it, maybe 3 meters tops on this particular model. But what do I know, right? I'm just a guy sitting here pointing out all the big old plot holes in it. Turret time. So the only part of this whole machine, the loadout, that makes any sense whatsoever is the 6 laser cannons this thing's got pointed all around for anti-infantry cover around the 4 main quadrants. And each one looks like it's got about a 120-degree cone of arc of fire, which is actually really good. Should provide very, very small dead fire zones, which can be covered by the main turret. But what doesn't make sense is where they place the egress ramps. On the sides, like right into the line of fire, even if you're trying to suppress them with the anti-infantry cannons, like you're still going to have your troopers running into the line of fire. And they're not going to be moving very fast either, because it looks like here in this cutout that they've got the bloody rifles in weapons racks on the walls instead of at their feet like most normal soldiers waiting ready to disperse. Now I can understand this thing galloping around at 40 kilometers an hour or whatever. You probably don't want to be holding that rifle. Probably going to blast your damn head off, but still, it's got to be one way or the other here. But you know what would be smarter than all of that? I don't know, maybe making the back half of this thing on the lower quadrant its egress ramp, drops down, they all run out backwards like frickin' Starship Troopers style, got the guns in hand, they're covered by your main guns, you've got a considerable bulk in front of them so they're not getting gunned down right away by enemy fire. Makes sense to me, but again, what the f do I know, right? It's not like every competent in the army in the world does it. But moving on to the main course, I mean main gun. So, Whose brilliant idea was it to put the turret right on top with the gunner fully exposed? Not to be a Debbie Downer here, but that's a real quick way to get rid of the one guy in the crew that no one likes. Exposed to snipers, grenades, artillery, the weather, space wizards. Like, I kind of get it. You got 27 odd dudes on high protein diets inside a pressurized metal box galloping around at, 40 miles an hour. Like, Steve is going to be just dropping ass all day because he's lactose intolerant and refuses to give up drinking blue muscle milks. But it seems just a little bit mean to put everyone else's control panels inside the vehicle and then say, nah, you know what? Fuck Steve. He can hang ass outside all day in that turret. Lactose intolerant fuck.
Yeah, you suck. You just fucking suck.
Oh, and let's not forget that gunner's also got to have a second spotter in the front with a laser rangefinder. Like, did they forget how to make ballistic computers in a galaxy far, far away? Like, I understand it's supposed to kind of emulate World War II style combat, but fuck me in the ass with a rusty lightsaber here. You're telling me they have computers to calculate FTL jumps, but can't make one to tell me where my laser shell's gonna land 900 yards away instead of 600? That just beggars belief. And it's really shitty world building, but again, what do I know? So, summing this all up, we've got a troop transport tank that can't do either really well, with the turning radius of a freight train that's so massive and slow that a blind stormtrooper could hit it. But given the track record of not only the Republic, but the Empire, and their combat doctrine, I am really not surprised they would field something this inexplicably stupid that even Helen Keller would say that's just fucked up. Overall, I'm going to rate this 1 Order 66 out of 2 cut off arms and legs. If you guys like the content, again, please do like, share, and subscribe. Check me out on all my socials. Check out my Patreon and Ko-fi. And with that, guys, I will see you all on the next one.